Hey, it's Dr. Dunaway here with Chiro Strength, and today we're going to go through some rice bucking conditioning. So this is great for the intrinsic muscle of the hands, great for the forearm and elbow, and it's a really good way to train the kind of circumferential muscles all the way around the forearm and all the intrinsic muscles of the hand. Oftentimes when we're working in either a sport that's a gripping sport like climbing, even barbell, or in general, if you have a job that requires a lot of repetitive use with your hands, we're usually working one side of the joint or the other. We're overworking the flexors versus the extensors, or overworking pronation as opposed to supination. So this is a great way to kind of redistribute that stress. Great at recovery, but also great for warm-ups. So whether you're a barbell athlete, a strongman athlete, or somebody that just uses their hands a lot, these are some good techniques. Now I'm going to show you a few different ones for the hands, some for the wrist, some for the elbow. You might use all of them, you might use some of them. Usually I start with 30 seconds or 30 reps. I have a mop bucket here, and I had a 15 or 20 pound bag. I think it was a 20-pound bag actually. And about half made it in here. I just had this laying around the garage. I prefer a 5-gallon bucket because you can easily get both hands here, but for demonstration purposes, I'm only going to do one hand. And so what we're going to start with is the intrinsic muscle of the hand. So we're doing flexion extension, we're doing the AVduction and ADduction, and then we're going to do opposition. So essentially what we do, we go in, first thing we're going to do is stab in, open the hand up, and pull out. Stab in, open up, and pull out of the bucket, and that's going to end up working the extensors. Now I go in with a neutral wrist, but as I extend my fingers, I kind of pull up with my wrist in a extended position like this. That's just going to further facilitate that extension that we're trying to get. And now when I'm going to go in with the hands wide, and I'm going to flex and pull out. So as I'm flexing my fingers, I'm kind of also flexing my wrist a little bit, going in, taking a good grab, and coming out. The deeper you go into the bucket, the more resistance you're going to get. Now, what we're going to do with the AVduction, we're going in like a knife edge and opening up, and then again, the wrist stays neutral as we go in and squeeze the fingers. So in, open up, in, squeeze the fingers, and we're really trying to get that type of motion. You can keep the hand in there the entire time and just work on squeezing, opening up, squeezing, opening up, squeezing, opening up. But I kind of prefer to go in, open up, and reset each time. Whatever you feel comfortable, there's no wrong way to do it. Now the other one's opposition. So the difference here, instead of going like this, we're really kind of closing down, almost like a clamshell type grip. So you go in, open up, and then go in and close down. And again, my wrist stays relatively neutral here. And as you see, my elbow also stays neutral. A big component of this is that scapula here is staying protracted, so it's nice and stable. This is great at just also connecting the shoulder, elbow, and wrist to really work on making sure that's a nice solid unit. A lot of these repetitive motion injuries happen from a lack of stability up here proximally, just as a little side note. So now what we're going to do is the wrist. Again, very simple. The deeper you go, you don't have to go in fast. The deeper you go, the more resistance you're going to get. And all we're going to do is wrist circles. And really try not to cheat the edge of the ranges here. You're going to go clockwise and then counterclockwise, again for 30 seconds or 30 reps. And the last one we're going to do is pronation, supination. So on this one, I'm really going to focus on the good stability up here at the shoulder. So I prefer to keep my hand opened up like this. I feel like I get a better resistance. But you can also kind of grab and twist if you want to work that as well. But you go in as comfortably as possible, and you're going to slowly turn the pit of the elbow forward with supination, and then you're going to come in at supinated position and slowly kind of twist in like that. So you can also use the grip along with this, or you can try to keep those hands wide, which I think is a little more difficult. And you can just kind of work pronation, supination. Now, if you're going to work one, work the opposite, right? So if you're going to work flexion, work extension. If you're going to work supination, work pronation. Make sure this is intended to kind of redistribute that stress and work a bunch of different muscles. So make sure you're doing that. You don't have to do all of them. You might do some of them, like I said. But this is a fantastic way to use this technique as a warm-up, as supplemental work after you're done, or just kind of as part of your recovery day. So if you have any questions, comment below. And like I always say, don't just mend, transcend. Thanks.